So we are back with OVDP Form 1452. Again, we're still in full OVDP. We're not talking streamlined. And with me, I have Jen Pilato and Elaine Gaffney. And this is really their department where they are handling a lot of these. And so, Elaine, you're going to be talking about the foreign asset? Or is
Actually,
it Jen?
Jen is going to
Yes,
is
I
gonna
am.
be
handle
talking
that one.
about that. All right, so let's get right into it because the IRS and all these people watching it want to know exactly what they want to fix. So what are some of the things? Now, Jen, you spend most of your day on these, right? Is that right?
I do spend a lot of my time filling out the appropriate forms. That is correct.
Okay, and you do you fill out a lot of the F-bars too.
I do.
And I think that's really why you see so much of the overlap. You're filling out F-bars and these forms too, and you're saying, it could be a lot easier if you guys weren't asking for information that was somewhat different and duplicative.
Correct. Or unnecessary.
Unnecessary. Nice. All right, so let's talk about some of the suggestions you want. You have line 17.
Yes. So we just had a couple suggestions on this form. Line 17 in particular. This requests the fair market value as of December 31st of 2010, if in fact the asset is still owned. This doesn't appear to have any relevance to the program, to the penalty computation. So we were hoping that they can possibly remove this from the form altogether.
Right, and I think this is a holdover from years ago when they were coming here. Because you know what? We could have people who are doing an offshore disclosure that doesn't even include the year 2010.
Exactly.
They've just been in compliance for the last couple of years. So it would just be nice if we could remove line 17 from memory.
I agree.
Oh, all right. We will extinguish its last seed.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's going too far, right? Maybe. All right. So line 1.
The only other suggestion that we had in this form was on line 1. Line 1, they're requesting the name of the foreign financial institution. We were hoping there'd be a location for an account number on this. Many of our taxpayers have more than one account in that particular financial institution.
And especially when fixed deposits, we're talking hundreds.
Absolutely.
Okay. So those are the suggestions you would like to see on 14452. And now, Elaine, you're going to handle 14453, the penalty computation. And this is for full OVDP, not streamlined, but for full OVDP. So
Correct. This is a form that we use for the full OVDP, and we input all of the accounts that are going to be included in the penalty computation on this form. Again, as we've said with a lot of these forms, there's not enough room to list all of the accounts typically that a lot of our clients do have. This particular, the first sort of challenge we found with this is that we are not able to save electronic format. If you can't just do a save as and save all the information, the form only comes up, you input all the information, and then you have to kind of print it right then and there because you can't save it.
and then you have to re-input the information later?
Yes.
Oh, God, this sounds incredibly tedious.
And this is definitely
horrible.
another time-consuming delay that
And
we could avoid.
And it's also, these numbers are somewhat consequential as well. It's really important to get these numbers correct.
Absolutely.
And so then we're sending, so you send these forms out to clients for review.
We do. This is sort of towards the end of the process.
Okay.
Once we have been able to determine exactly what accounts are going to be included, what the balance is on the full OVDP. With this particular form, you do have to include the maximum balance.
And I think we've tried some of our own third-party software to get this to save. So it's really not a thing where we haven't tried to come up with our own solution to save it. It's really this form is really fatal. And so I don't want to, maybe we shouldn't beat it to death. You know, the IRS probably wants to know what other suggestions we have.
Exactly.
But just make this savable. It would save a lot of money, please.
Definitely.
Okay. All right, so what else do you have on this?
They're sort of contradictory on this form because this form only asks for, I believe, the account number. Does it ask for the account name, the financial institution name? I think that's one of our criticisms of it. A lot of the other forms, you have to include the bank name, the account number, the city and the country. This form actually doesn't allow you to include all of those, all of that information.
And in a way, this is somewhat even more important because of those other forms we're submitting. Those might be in compliance where there is no penalty being attached to it. You know, this is the critical thing. This is where the penalty, the money comes into play, and you're giving us a form that's somewhat ambiguous or difficult to calculate what the IRS is actually looking for.
Well, it's also not as specific. You're not able to have it be as specific as really it needs to be. And as we've said, the third item that we would like them to include in this form is an area where we could explain some special circumstances, such as transfers that would reduce the actual balance that we're using. It would save the IRS a lot of time. They wouldn't have to go back and figure out, well, where did this balance come from? Why wasn't it the same as what was on the F-bar? Because the information in this form really should coincide a lot with what's on the F-bar.
I would say from my own experience, I have seen the penalty computations. This is an area that's ripe for misinformation, and we've taken over cases where a previous representative or client has tried to deal this with them themselves, and the revenue agent keeps coming back with a higher penalty base. And it's simply because they're not they're looking at what has been submitted before as the complete penalty base. And you really have to set your time down to say, no, here's that. This is why we're not including it in the penalty base. And so the form, to me, doesn't do a lot of help. It really does not helping as it is now. Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree with that.
Okay.
That is the key thing. You know, this form, if they could just revise it, improve it a little bit, I think it would make it so much easier for us, for the client, and for the IRS.
All right, great advice. Well, thank you, ladies. Thank you very much for adding that.
Thank you.
Our next part, we are going to go back. Michelle Wynn and Robert Hanser are going to join us. We're going to go into streamlined offshore procedures.